morning, guys. Today on Homestead Hopes, we've got a lot of different projects going on around here, so I'm going to take you along and show you what we've got. First things first thing this morning, we are going to get in here, feed the chickens, and see if we got any blue eggs. Get some feed out of this barrel. Good morning. Are y'all ready to eat? Let's go over here and get you some feed in your trough. Now, the Americanas are still very skittish. I want to say we're getting better, but we're not. So I just give them their space, leave them alone, and hopefully they'll stop running from me every time I come in here. Let's go see if we got any eggs today. All right. 2 brown. Now, don't be fooled. I put this one in here to try to encourage them to get in there to lay, and they have not. And even worse, one of the other chickens got in there and pecked it. So it's junk. So, always just feed it back to them. I know it's rewarding bad behavior, but I can't use them. Once that shell has been cracked, you risk bacteria getting in the egg, and we do not eat them. We let the chickens have them. Okay, looks like someone's feeling a little bit more comfortable. Nope. Changed their mind. Maybe I should give them one of the eggs. I don't know. So let's go ahead and collect these 2. All right, so now that we've got our eggs, we're gonna take those in the house a little later. But for right now, let's go over and check on the garden. Zucchini is doing great. Now, we had everything come up in this part. This is where we had all the chicken poop from last year. And everything's growing good. We have one that did not come up, so I can just replant that. And the wind brought that tarp over here. We've had some pretty weird weather lately. It's getting cold and then hot. Hopefully, though, the last frost date is passed. See what I mean? We had some major wind. It knocked my rooster over, which we had a tornado warning the other night, and the rooster withstood that. So the winds must have been pretty bad the other day for this to happen. Luckily, it did not dump over these Mamie's Best tomatoes. Onions are doing quite well. I've even got a volunteer carrot between here. Nice. Here's our bell peppers. Small, but mighty. And these are those lunchbox peppers. They're getting pretty big. I might be able to set these over in the garden soon. Still no jalapenos. My other lunchbox peppers, what I call lunchbox peppers, they took a while to germinate too, so I'm just crossing my fingers on these. Basil is looking good. And even our lettuce is looking good. Now, I do need to thin this out. I hate thinning plants because I hate pulling them, because I know that they're going to die afterwards. But it is crucial to thin your plants, or they'll overcrowd one another, and you risk killing everybody if you don't thin them out. And last but not least, for our seeds, these are our cantaloupe seeds. They have not yet germinated, and I don't see anything looking like it's going to just yet, but I'm gonna keep watering them, see what happens. You never know. Ringo, shall we head over to the garden? All right, let's do a garden update. Where should we start first? Let's start with the cucumbers and the snap peas. So, cucumbers, they are doing really, really well. This one is a product of what I was talking about about thinning your seedlings. This one needs thinned in a bad way. And I may go ahead and do that, but if you look really close, this plant is really thriving. You see how it's got this leaf right here protruding out of the middle of these? Any normal seedling, when it first comes up, will look just like this. It'll just be a small little 2-leaf plant like this. Once it starts out like that, like I said, it'll grow into what we were looking at over here earlier. And then it will start to have something like this come out of the top. This is a sign that this is putting on more leaves and it's going to start growing upward. These snap peas are doing really, really well. This is the area where 2 years in a row we hadn't been able to grow anything. And so, well, there's one empty cup right there. Anyways, that's why we amended the soil with the potting soil. Now you can amend your soil with other things like fertilizers. You can get soil samples taken and they'll tell you what your soil is lacking. But we're just trying the potting soil for now to see if that helps. And it is looking promising. So that's really good news for this area of the garden. So let's take a look at the peppers. Peppers are doing nice. These are the first ones we planted this year. These are those red Manchester peppers that we put in. And these are the other new additions we put in just the other day. They're doing really well. We don't have any burnt spots or any disease going on. I think they're going to do well this year, but then again, they always do. The red onions are doing good. We have a couple holes that nothing has came up in, like that one. And that's okay. If nothing comes up, it's fine, because these are still thriving and we're still going to get quite a few onions. I think we planted like 50 some odd bulbs, and to have this many out of 50 is pretty good. Cabbage and broccoli plants are also doing well. We have some that are still a little bit small. They're not dead. This one really seems to be taking off. I just make sure and come out here and weed around them when I can. But we had a cold snap this weekend, in which we all know these are considered brassicas. Brassicas love the cold weather. They thrive in it. So I'm hoping that with the 40-degree temperatures we had overnight, that this will really take off and start growing. But we still have the issue with some of them dying down here. Not sure what's going on with that, but we will get it figured out. If we don't, we still have lots and lots of broccoli and cabbage. Probably enough where we won't eat it all, but we always just give it away. It can definitely be repurposed into giving it away or feeding it to the chickens, because they love things like that. And we don't mind sharing our harvest with them, because that's why we're doing this. That way we don't have to go to the grocery store and buy so much food. We want sustainability here at our little homestead. By the way, don't ever get conned into buying one of these tools. I hate this thing, and we paid like 40 bucks for it. Watermelons are doing good. We still don't have any seeds sprouted from the watermelon. These are the starts that we bought from Sutherland's, and they're doing really well. See, that one's really pretty. This one's still small, but I think it's gonna do just fine. And here's where we planted seeds. We've got nothing, guys. Tomatoes are looking pretty good. Everybody's doing well. I did see one plant back there that obviously didn't make it. Don't know what happened. It looks like it's been eaten down to the bottom main stem. So I'm guessing a rabbit got in here, but not to worry, we will fix that problem. So everyone looks really good. These are really thriving down here. I don't know if it's because of where they're at, because they're getting more sun. All the rain that we've been getting lately is draining over here and causing them to get so much bigger. But as you can see, this one is already starting to get to be a good candidate to start fastening it to the trellis to cause it to grow up rather than outward. Now these are all indeterminate tomatoes. I'm pretty sure if you know the difference between determinate and indeterminate, indeterminate means they can grow as tall as they want to. Determinate means it's a bush variety that will grow to a certain height, and then once it gets to that desired height, it will start putting out fruit, and it will keep putting out fruit. With indeterminate, it doesn't do that. It starts projecting all of its energy to go up the trellis and to get big and tall. And I'm hoping I've got some determinate ones in here this year. That way I will get more tomatoes rather than bigger plants. These are our new tomatoes. They're looking pretty good. Everybody's looking very healthy and everything, so that's really good to see. Now, another thing is we always have a problem with blight on our tomatoes. We, in the past, have used neem oil. What blight is these leaves will start to turn brown, and you just think the plant is dying, but really it has a disease, which is called blight. And blight will typically kill a tomato plant over time. You definitely won't get any tomatoes out of it. And the reason that happens is because when rain falls or water splashes into this soil, there's bacteria in the soil that will splash up onto the plant. So that causes that disease to get in there and harm the plant. What we have done in the past is put mulch around the bases of the plants, and that did help for a short amount of time, but somehow we still got blight on there. Had to treat with neem oil, and that did work to an extent, but last year we maybe got 10 tomatoes and we had lots of tomato plants. So this year, hopefully this fabric will help cover that diseased soil better. And another thing you can do is when they start making these little bitty plants coming out the side, you can pinch those off and it won't harm the plant. I'm not going to pinch mine just yet. I'm going to let it grow a little taller. But you can pinch that off, and as long as these aren't drooping down and touching the soil, they don't normally pick up the bacteria out of the soil as much. So pinch those off and you should get a taller plant that's not turning brown on you. Now, we still don't have any potatoes growing just yet. I'm sure they're doing good under there. But we don't have anything sprouting out. So as you know, that means it's not time to heal those just yet. We have to wait till we see vegetation protruding out of the ground. Once it starts coming out of the ground, then we'll start throwing more soil on them and hilling them like we had talked about in other videos. And I used these buckets to cover my tomato plants with the cold temperatures because I didn't want them to risk getting any frost on them, because that frost would have stunted their growth, and we definitely don't want that. And our asparagus is doing pretty well. We have some growing up out of the ground. Now, this is just a tiny plant, but over the years, if I let this go, this will become big and bushy on top, and you will see little asparagus popping up out of the ground, and you can just snap those off, and you can eat them raw or cook them. I've never eaten them raw, but I think I'm going to try it probably next year. I don't know that we'll get asparagus this year. I hope we do, but if we don't, that's okay. This is a perennial. This is going to come back year after year. I won't have to do anything with it except weed around it. Strawberries are doing well. With the frost, I did come over and cover these with some leaves. I'm going to get some straw as soon as I make it over to the local feed store. And I have learned from some very knowledgeable growers on YouTube. I can give them a shout out in the description. They're called More Than Farmers. They are super knowledgeable about strawberries, and they have said many times in their videos that straw around the bases of your strawberry plants will keep the weed, they'll keep the weeds from taking over around these, because these are also a perennial, just like those asparagus down there. These are going to come back year after year and get bigger and better. These are the ever-bearing strawberries. So they'll get better and better with time. And eventually this will become an entire patch of strawberries, which is what I want. And if I put the straw around the bases of them, it will suppress all of these weeds that are trying to poke through. And instead of all of the weeds sucking up the nutrition around here, the plants will get them instead. Example, all these leaves over the course of the fall blew over into this corner, and I cleared them out to put them around the strawberries, and look, no weeds where the leaves were laying. It completely smothered out the weeds. So I'm using what I got, saving money, and also the dried leaves are great fertilizer for the plants as well. I did plant some more rhubarb right there. This is our little bitty rhubarb plant that I told you in our last video was showing signs of growth, even though it was small. So it's looking better. There's another rhubarb we just planted. And this is our big rhubarb plant that's really doing well. And if you don't believe me, look at the size of these leaves in regards to my hand. They are huge. Let's go check on these grapes. The grapes are doing really, really well. They are just vining all out over this trellis. We're probably going to have to expand this trellis this year. In fact, I know we will. Now, what we do is we try to train these vines to climb these strings, and it is working. However, they will just keep climbing outward, and they will dip out all the way onto the ground. So sometimes we have to train them down one end and then up the other, and to come back this way, just to keep everybody off the ground and healthy. But we do have bundles of grapes coming up on here, and I think it's going to be a really good year for grapes this year. Here's one that's falling over the edge, and you see it just continues to grow on the ground. So I just kind of take the area where it is pointing towards and just kind of retrain it to go back up in there. I may have to fasten that with something, but yeah, it already popped back down. Pear tree's looking good. Another healthier pear tree. Plum tree looking good. And our peach tree. Fig tree is looking pretty good. It's getting that new growth more thick down there at the bottom. This has not sprouted anything. I don't see any signs of any blooms on there. So it's probably not going to do anything, but that's okay. It can serve as a brace for this new fig that's coming up. And what I mean by brace is, when we planted this fig tree, this came with the plant that we bought from Lowe's, and it has stayed in there and stayed sturdy. And it seems like the fig just kind of stays up against that. So this can serve the same purpose as this if we leave it. Now let's head over to the shop, see what Austin's got going on. We've had some major hiccups this week, guys, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Hiccup number one. We have a well here at the homestead that we use for water, and our well pump failed down inside of there. So we had to take off all of the metal. We had to take that cap off of there. That's where the well pump is into the ground. And we had to pull all 60 feet of that pipe up out of the ground, stretch it across the yard. And the well pump is attached to the end of that 60-foot pipe. And well, we figured out the well pump had failed. It was full of this red looking silt. We cleaned it up the best we could. Austin wired it in and just to see if it was going to kick on, and it's not. It's just barely running. And so we've ordered a new well pump. It should be here next week. I'll be sure and film that as we take this one out again and put the new one in, which should be lots of fun. So let's go see what hiccup number 2 was this week. Hiccup number 2. My car decided to start leaking oil. So Austin has been hard at it underneath here. What?
I said Austin's even been recording videos.
Good job.
I'm the first timer.
So we've been underneath the lift here, and explain to him what we've been doing, babe.
So Mary's in the garden right now, feeding chickens and stuff. I'm in the shop working on her car. I probably should have recorded this coming out yesterday when I pulled the transmission, but I was pretty irritated to have to do this. The rear main seal was leaking. I rebuilt this transmission around Thanksgiving, I believe. Put a brand new rear main seal in it from Amazon. It was a Felpro rear main seal. It wasn't even a cheap one, really. I'm kind of thinking it was coming from right between where the rear main seal and the oil pan gasket line up. So I pulled the transmission out of here. I'm about to pull the oil pan out and go ahead and replace that oil pan gasket. The transmission's right over here. I mean, you can see it's brand new, but it's full of oil from the rear main seal leaking. I don't know why it would leak that quick. It's brand new. I think this gasket was actually the one that was leaking. I mean, you can see how new it is. All right, so I got the oil draining right now. Now to get this oil pan off here, it'd be a lot easier if the transmission was still in it, because you're not hitting your front cross member right here. My plan is probably put something on this header right here and lift the motor up. You can see that, I mean, it's just hanging there, so I just need to lift it up long enough to be able to slide that oil pan out of there. Not a big deal. Let's let this oil drain, and let's get this oil pan ripped off here.
So here he is dropping the oil pan down.
How many times you gonna hit your knuckles with? All right, guys, so we got the new rear main seal put in there. Bolts are torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Amazon just showed up with the oil pan gasket. So let's start getting this thing put back together. So I did put some high temp silicone right here, RTV. That's probably way too much, but I know in the corners you need it right here where these two gaskets are gonna meet up on both sides. And I just kind of smoothed it along the bottom right there because I do not want to do this again.
All right, last bolt getting tightened down on the drive shaft. Now it's about time. We're going to drop her down and put some oil in her and see how she does. Okay, time to take her down and check to see if everything's working well. We've already put it back up on the lift. You can see it's running right now. We were checking for oil leaks. Austin did find a leak around the oil cooler. So James climbed up in there. We lifted the truck back up so he could start it and we could locate where the leak was and fix it. So that one's fixed.
He's a good boy.
Well, she's all fixed, and that's gonna do it for today's video. We've got all of our work done for the weekend. So join us next time when we get that well pump. We're gonna be putting that in and getting that all fixed back up, and we will share our journey with you guys so you can follow along. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.